Okay, so for homework 9-1, we used the method from class, which was analyzing this temperature versus ice cream sales, and we used Geogebra to do so, to help make predictions. Essentially, as the temperature is increasing, we might expect ice cream sales to increase, just thinking ahead a little bit, but let's get into the actual analysis. So right now, I'm going to open up Geogebra, and I'm going to start entering in my data, which is 14.2, then comma 215, and I press enter. And that it gives me point A. And point A will be that very first ordered pair from the data set. So we enter this in. It's a little boring to watch entering in the data, but this way you can kind of see exactly how to do this. 0.9, comma 185. We got 15.2. Whoops. I need to make sure that's in parentheses. We've seen that in class. If you don't enter the parentheses, you can end up with trouble. Comma 15.2, comma 332. These are all entered as ordered pairs or points. 18.5, comma 406. 22.1, comma 522, 19.4, comma 412, 25.1, comma 614, and then I've got 23.4, comma 544, 18.1, comma 421. Then I've got 22.6, comma 445. Then finally 17.2, 408, and I press return. Now that's my data, so I'm going to close out the data. I got that from Google Classroom. One of the things we did in class was we were entering this data into the table, but when we used the table, sometimes there were these errors that showed up. So one way to just eliminate that is to enter in as ordered pairs. And now you see on the graph, these values aren't here. If you take a look at these y values, it looks like the maximum is something like 600 and something. So if I shrink, notice I'm only changing the y-axis. And then I'm going to change the x-axis. So the x-axis now covers all the x values that we had from our data, and the same with the y-axis covers all the y values. And I can see these points. Each point, like this point H, for example, if I look at it closely, that represents 25.1 degrees Celsius, and we had sales of 614. Let's switch over to tools. I'm going to select all these objects, and I don't really care about the letters on those, so I'm going to change the settings and remove those labels. You don't need to do that, but that's one thing you can do. The other thing we like to do is get a line of best fit. And so this line of best fit says that if you consider all those data points, and we could draw the best line to capture all those values and the trends associated with that value, it would be this shape. And if we go to algebra on the iPad, we see, or on the GeoGebra, we see this very bottom is this F. I can turn it off and on, and that is the actual line. In fact, they give us the formula for that line, 30.087, etc. X minus 159.4. So one of the questions from that we looked at was, well, what happens when the temperature increases? what do we get? So what we can do here using GeoGebra is, hey, what about when the temperature is 26 degrees Celsius? So on the side here, I'm going to type, oh, I made a mistake, so I'm going to delete that. My input is going to be x equals 26, and I should get a vertical line. I go over to Tools, and I'm going to look for the intersection of those 2 points, those 2 lines, and it's at that point M. I now go to M, and I look at this here. It says, hey, whoops, when the temperature is 26, we expect sales of $622.81. And that's how you can use your GeoGebra to make predictions based on a data set.